So I've been spending the last few days riding the all-new Cannondale SuperSix EVO. This is the bike that helped propel Peter Sagan to successive green jerseys in the Tour de France. And you'd be forgiven for thinking that it's just the same bike with a new lick of paint, but once you dig down into the details, you'll see that Cannondale have done a hell of a lot of work changing this bike and improving it. First up, with the frame, they've actually completely changed all the tube profiles. They've gone to a system they're calling TAP, or truncated aero profiles. It's a similar thing to what Trek have been doing with their previous Madone. You literally cut the back off an aero wing profile. But on the Cannondale, it's a lot more subtle. This isn't an aero bike, but they've just taken aero into consideration. They claim with the improvements they've made on this frame that you're getting a 6 gram decrease in aero drag, or 6 watts. There are lots of kind of clever, simple ideas on this where they've helped do that. Simple things like with the bottle cage mounts, they've moved down towards the bottom bracket, which effectively means the front bottle inside its bottle cage is shielding you from the second bottle cage. A very simple, clever idea. But the real heart of this bike is it's a race bike, but they've really considered how to make it much more comfortable. From a racer's point of view, what they've done is they've increased the bottom bracket stiffness by 12%, putting it right on the extremes of what the accepted tested methods are. You go any more stiff and Cannondale will tell us that that's detrimental to the way the bike will ride. Up front, they've increased the head tube stiffness. Again, that gives you a big advantage in handling, but where they've really taken into account is mainly from lessons learned from the Synapse. In the increasing comfort actually increases how quickly you can ride and for how long you can ride. The biggest single change on the bike is the seat tube. The seat tube is a development on from what they learnt from the Synapse. So they've moved the bottom bracket shell to the wider BB30A standard, which has allowed them to slim the seat tube down to a minuscule 25.4, but then it super flares down at the bottom. It doesn't have the big whole power pyramid design from the Synapse. It's got a very subtle iteration of that. What that has actually meant is a huge increase in comfort at the back end of this bike. When you're riding it, it's amazing that you'll hit a rough surface and you can feel the back end of the bike just complying with you, subtly smoothing everything out. You don't really get any buzz or any noise or anything that just kind of fatigues you coming off the back end. The front end redesign on the fork has done much the same thing. They've actually reduced the weight of the fork by 40 grams, which is a massive amount, but they've increased the compliance front to back. So when you're hitting potholes and ruts and everything, it just subtly smooths everything you're going over, to the point where the rear end and the front end feel perfectly balanced together. You can hit rough terrain on this just at a ridiculously high speed. I was out riding this on my local test loops. There are plenty of bad road surfaces there, but I was so impressed by how good it was. It made me venture off onto a 4-mile stretch of pure gravel. I was so impressed that the speed and the tempo I could keep up over those sorts of surfaces, especially when it's only running a 25C tyre. So all of these technical improvements Cannondale made would all be moot unless the bike actually rode well. And over the last few days of riding it, it's just an astonishingly good bike. It's such an improvement over the old SuperSix EVO, which wasn't, in any way a bad thing to ride. That bike was nimble, quick, light, accelerated beautifully. And this does everything that the old EVO did, but it just does it with such a higher level of comfort, just a higher level of smoothness, that you can maintain the speed that the SuperSix is known for, just in more conditions and more surfaces. You seem to be able to ride harder for longer, descend quicker because the bike just handles so beautifully. The handling's sharp and snappy, but it never gets nervous. You never feel like you're going to have to back off. You always feel like the bike's going to do exactly what you want it to do. So when we talked to Cannondale and arranged this world exclusive on the brand new EVO, we could have gone for the black ink model or the Team High mod, the super bikes, the super high bikes, which you were always going to be impressed with because they've got the best kit on earth and they've got the best wheels, etc. But we wanted to go for the more standard version. So this model is Ultegra Caesarium wheels. In the US it's looking to retail for $3,999. In the UK the target price is £3,000. So whilst it's still an expensive bike, it's within the realms that most people could stretch to, and we've just been wildly impressed with it. If you were a fan of the original EVO, then this is a massive evolutionary step on from that. It's quicker, it's smoother, it's lighter, and it's just a whole heap more fun.